Question 1. Read the following passage and answer the question below. During a routine patrol, Officer Martinez observed a vehicle traveling at an excessive speed. The officer initiated a traffic stop, and upon approaching the vehicle, detected a strong odor of marijuana emanating from inside. The driver, Mr. Jones, appeared nervous and was unable to produce a valid driver's license. Officer Martinez then requested Mr. Jones to step out of the vehicle and conducted a search, discovering a small bag of marijuana under the driver's seat. Mr. Jones was subsequently arrested for possession of marijuana and driving without a license. Based on the passage, what specific observation prompted Officer Martinez to initiate the traffic stop? A. The strong odor of marijuana from the vehicle. B. Mr. Jones's nervous demeanor. C. The vehicle traveling at an excessive speed. D. Mr. Jones's inability to produce a valid driver's license. Answer: C. The vehicle traveling at an excessive speed. The passage clearly states that Officer Martinez observed a vehicle traveling at an excessive speed, and then initiated a traffic stop, indicating the speed was the initial reason for the stop. All other observations, such as the odor of marijuana, the driver's nervousness, and the lack of a license, occurred after the stop was initiated. Reading comprehension questions require careful attention to the sequence of events and specific details provided in the text to identify the correct information. Remember to always focus on what the passage explicitly states as the cause or sequence of actions. Question 2. Which of the following words is spelled correctly? A. Separate. B. Definite. C. Indispensable. D. Privilege. Answer: B. Definite. The correct spelling of the word is definite, meaning clearly established or defined. The other options are common misspellings. Separate should be spelled with an A in the second syllable, indispensable should be spelled with an A instead of an E, and privilege should be spelled with an I in the second syllable. Correct spelling is crucial for clear and professional written communication, which is a fundamental skill for law enforcement officers when writing reports. Practice identifying common misspellings to improve your accuracy. Question 3. Choose the sentence that is grammatically correct and clearly states its meaning. A. The suspect who was apprehended, he resisted arrest. B. Resisting arrest was done by the suspect who was apprehended. C. The apprehended suspect resisted arrest. D. The suspect resisted arrest, which he was apprehended. Answer: C. The apprehended suspect resisted arrest. This sentence is the most concise, grammatically correct, and clear option. Option A uses an unnecessary pronoun, he, creating redundancy. Option B is wordy and uses passive voice, was done by, making it less direct. Option D has an awkward and unclear pronoun reference with which, making the sentence confusing. Effective written communication in law enforcement requires clarity, conciseness, and correct grammar to ensure reports are easily understood. Aim for direct and active voice in your writing whenever possible. Question 4. An individual exhibiting signs of extreme agitation, disorientation, and paranoia, claiming people are out to get them and pacing erratically, is most likely experiencing what? A. A common cold. B. A psychological crisis. C. A mild allergic reaction. D. Normal fatigue. Answer: B. A psychological crisis. The described symptoms, extreme agitation, disorientation, paranoia, and erratic pacing, are classic indicators of a psychological crisis or mental health episode. These behaviors suggest a significant disruption in the individual's thoughts, feelings, or perceptions, often requiring professional intervention. Recognizing signs of psychological distress is vital for law enforcement officers to respond appropriately and ensure the safety of the individual and others. Always prioritize de-escalation and seek mental health resources when encountering individuals in crisis. Question 5. In a police report, what is the most appropriate and professional way to refer to someone who has committed a crime but has not yet been convicted by a court? A. Criminal. B. Offender. C. Suspect. D. Guilty party. Answer: C. Suspect. The term suspect is the most appropriate and professional term to use in a police report for an individual who is believed to have committed a crime but has not yet been legally convicted. Using terms like criminal or guilty party assumes guilt before a court has rendered a verdict, which goes against the principle of innocent until proven guilty. Maintaining impartiality and factual accuracy in language is paramount in law enforcement documentation. Remember to use precise and unbiased language in all official communications. Question 6. Complete the following sentence with the most appropriate word. The detective found the witness's alibi to be underscore 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 underscore, as it contradicted several known facts of the case. A. Credible. B. Plausible. C. Dubious. D. Verifiable. Answer: C. Dubious. The word dubious means questionable or doubtful, which fits the context because the alibi contradicted several known facts. If an alibi contradicts facts, it cannot be credible, believable, plausible, reasonable, or verifiable, able to be proven true. Vocabulary questions test your ability to understand the precise meaning of words and how they function in context. Pay close attention to keywords like contradicted, as they provide strong clues to the correct answer. Question 7. If all police officers wear uniforms, and Officer Smith is a police officer, which of the following statements must be true? A. Officer Smith might wear a uniform. B. Officer Smith wears a uniform. C. Officer Smith may or may not wear a uniform. D. Only Officer Smith wears a uniform. Answer: B. Officer Smith wears a uniform. This is a classic example of deductive reasoning. If the premise, all police officers wear uniforms, is true, and Officer Smith is a police officer, is true, then it must logically follow that Officer Smith wears a uniform. Deductive reasoning involves drawing a specific conclusion from general premises. If the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. Understanding basic logical structures helps in analyzing situations and making sound judgments. Question 8. What does the legal term, probable cause, primarily refer to in the context of an arrest or search? A. Absolute certainty that a crime has occurred. B. A mere hunch or suspicion of wrongdoing. C. Sufficient evidence to lead a reasonable person to believe a crime has been or is being committed. D. Evidence admissible in court without objection. Answer: C. Sufficient evidence to lead a reasonable person to believe a crime has been or is being committed. Probable cause is a crucial legal standard that means there is enough evidence, based on facts and circumstances, to convince a reasonable and prudent person that a crime has been committed or that evidence of a crime exists in a particular location. It is a higher standard than mere suspicion but lower than the certainty required for conviction. Understanding probable cause is fundamental for law enforcement officers to ensure their actions, such as arrests and searches, are legally justifiable. Always remember that probable cause is based on objective facts, not just personal feelings. Question 9. Read the following paragraph. The new community outreach program aims to foster stronger relationships between law enforcement and local residents. By hosting regular town hall meetings, offering youth mentorship initiatives, and establishing a visible presence at neighborhood events, the program seeks to build trust and improve communication. This collaborative approach is designed to enhance public safety by encouraging residents to report suspicious activities and work cooperatively with officers. What is the main goal of the new community outreach program? A. To increase arrests for suspicious activities. B. To replace traditional policing methods. C. To improve communication and trust between law enforcement and residents. D. To only focus on youth mentorship initiatives. Answer: C. To improve communication and trust between law enforcement and residents. The passage explicitly states that the program aims to foster stronger relationships and seeks to build trust and improve communication between law enforcement and local residents. While it mentions increasing reports of suspicious activities as a benefit, the primary stated goal is building trust and communication through various collaborative efforts. Identifying the main idea of a passage involves discerning the overarching purpose or message conveyed by the text. Look for keywords that summarize the central theme, like foster stronger relationships or build trust. Question 10. Which of the following is the best example of concise and clear report writing? A. The male individual, who was observed operating the vehicle, stated that he was without a valid license at the time of the stop. B. The driver said he didn't have a license. C. The subject, a male, admitted to not possessing a valid driver's license. D. He told me he lacked a proper driving permit. Answer: C. The subject, a male, admitted to not possessing a valid driver's license. This option is the most concise and professional while still being clear. Option A is overly wordy and uses passive constructions. Option B is too informal and lacks detail regarding the driver. Option D is informal and uses less precise terminology, proper driving permit. Effective report writing demands precision, conciseness, and professional language to ensure information is conveyed accurately and efficiently. Always strive for clear, specific, and professional language in official documentation. Question 11. An officer witnesses a vehicle fail to stop at a posted stop sign. This is an example of what type of offense? A. A misdemeanor. B. A felony. C. An infraction. D. A tort. Answer: C. An infraction. Failing to stop at a stop sign is typically classified as an infraction in California. Infractions are the least severe type of criminal offense, usually punishable by a fine and not carrying potential jail time or a right to a jury trial. Misdemeanors are more serious than infractions, carrying potential jail time, while felonies are the most serious crimes. Understanding the different classifications of offenses is important for appropriate law enforcement response. Recognize that minor traffic violations usually fall into the infraction category. Question 12. Which sentence correctly uses a semicolon? A. The car was red, and it had a spoiler. B. He enjoys sports, such as basketball, soccer, and tennis. C. The suspect fled the scene, however, officers apprehended him shortly after. D. We need bread, milk, and eggs from the store. Answer: C. The suspect fled the scene, however, officers apprehended him shortly after. A semicolon is correctly used here to connect two independent clauses, complete sentences, that are closely related in meaning and separated by a conjunctive adverb like however. Option A incorrectly uses a semicolon before a coordinating conjunction, and. Option B incorrectly uses a semicolon to introduce a list. Option D incorrectly uses a semicolon within a simple list. Mastering punctuation rules ensures clarity and proper structure in written reports. Remember that semicolons often link two complete thoughts that are related, especially when a conjunctive adverb is involved. Question 13. If it is standard procedure for officers to wear body cameras during all citizen interactions, and Officer Miller is currently interacting with a citizen, what is the most logical expectation? A. Officer Miller might be wearing a body camera. B. Officer Miller is wearing a body camera. C. Officer Miller decided not to wear a body camera. D. The citizen is wearing a body camera. Answer: B. Officer Miller is wearing a body camera. This question tests logical deduction based on a stated rule or procedure. If wearing body cameras is standard procedure for all citizen interactions, and Officer Miller is engaged in a citizen interaction, then it logically follows that Officer Miller is wearing a body camera. Standard procedure implies a consistent and expected action. Understanding and applying standard operating procedures is crucial for consistent and professional law enforcement work. Always assume that standard procedures are being followed unless otherwise indicated. Question 14. An officer observes a person attempting to force open a locked car door in a parking lot late at night. What is the most appropriate immediate action for the officer to take? A. Drive past and monitor from a distance. B. Immediately confront the person and ask what they are doing. C. Call for backup and wait for their arrival before taking action. D. Observe quietly and gather more information before deciding. Answer: B. Immediately confront the person and ask what they are doing. Observing someone attempting to force open a locked car door constitutes suspicious activity that suggests a crime, attempted car theft or vandalism, is in progress. The most appropriate immediate action is to intervene and investigate, which often starts with a direct, lawful approach and questioning. Delaying or simply observing might allow the suspect to complete the crime or flee. Law enforcement officers are expected to act decisively when observing criminal activity. Always consider the immediacy of the threat or crime when determining the most appropriate first response. Question 15. In police terminology, what does bolt most likely refer to? A. Begin official legal testimony. B. Be on lookout tonight. C. Be on the lookout. D. Basic officer location tracker. Answer: C. Be on the lookout. BOLT is a common acronym in law enforcement communication, standing for Be on the Lookout. This phrase or acronym is used to alert officers to be vigilant for a specific person, vehicle, or item, typically when a crime has occurred or a suspect is at large. Understanding common police acronyms and terminology is important for effective communication and comprehension in the field. Familiarize yourself with frequently used acronyms for efficient information processing. Question 16. Identify the sentence that contains a misused word. A. The principal of the school addressed the students. B. The officer received a compliment for his bravery. C. He had a profound effect on the community. D. The new policy will immediate impact residents. Answer: D. The new policy will immediate impact residents. The word immediate is an adjective, but the sentence requires an adverb to modify the verb impact. The correct word should be immediately to describe how the policy will impact residents. Immediately is an adverb. This type of question tests your understanding of parts of speech and how words function correctly within a sentence. Always check if a word is being used as the correct part of speech, e.g., noun, verb, adjective, adverb, for the sentence's meaning. Question 17. The primary goal of a police officer responding to a domestic disturbance call is to A. Determine guilt and make an arrest immediately. B. Ensure the safety of all parties involved and de-escalate the situation. C. Only advise parties to separate and leave the scene. D. Take sides with the alleged victim to provide support. Answer: B. Ensure the safety of all parties involved and de-escalate the situation. While an arrest may be necessary depending on the circumstances, the primary and immediate goal of an officer responding to a domestic disturbance is to ensure the safety of everyone present, victims, suspects, children, and themselves, and to bring the volatile situation under control through de-escalation techniques. Determining guilt and making an arrest are subsequent steps if safety is secured and probable cause exists. Officer safety and public safety are always the highest priorities in law enforcement. Remember that de-escalation and securing the scene are foundational steps in critical incidents. Question 18. If a statement is considered ambiguous, what does that mean? A. It is definitely true. B. It is false. C. It has more than one possible meaning or interpretation. D. It is supported by strong evidence. Answer: C. It has more than one possible meaning or interpretation. Ambiguous means open to more than one interpretation, it's unclear or vague. A statement that is ambiguous can be understood in different ways, leading to confusion. In law enforcement, clear and unambiguous communication is essential to avoid misunderstandings, especially in reports or when giving instructions. Strive for clarity in all your communications to leave no room for misinterpretation. Question 19. An officer observes a vehicle swerving erratically, nearly hitting a parked car. What is the primary concern regarding this observation? A. The vehicle's paint color. B. Potential impairment of the driver. C. The age of the vehicle. D. The type of music playing inside the vehicle. Answer: B. Potential impairment of the driver. Erratic driving, such as swerving and nearly hitting other objects, is a strong indicator of potential driver impairment, often due to alcohol, drugs, or extreme fatigue. This behavior poses a significant public safety risk. While other factors might be noted, the immediate and primary concern for an officer is the possibility that the driver is impaired, which warrants immediate investigation for public safety. Prioritize public safety above all else when assessing observed behaviors. Question 20. Which of the following words is most similar in meaning to diligent? A. Careless. B. Negligent. C. Conscientious. D. Lazy. Answer: C. Conscientious. Diligent means showing care and conscientiousness in one's work or duties, implying thoroughness and hard work. Therefore, conscientious is the most similar word, as it also means wishing to do what is right, especially to do one's work or duty well and thoroughly. Careless, negligent, and lazy are all antonyms or opposites of diligent. A strong vocabulary is crucial for understanding complex situations and communicating effectively in law enforcement. Question 21. When an officer is writing a report, which tense should generally be used to describe actions that occurred in the past? A. Present tense. B. Future tense. C. Past tense. D. Conditional tense. Answer: C. Past tense. Police reports document events that have already happened, so the past tense is the appropriate and professional grammatical tense to use for describing actions, observations, and statements that occurred in the past. Using consistent past tense ensures clarity and accuracy in documenting factual information. For example, you would write, "The suspect fled," not, "The suspect flees." Consistency in tense is a hallmark of professional report writing. Question 22. Which of the following best describes the principle of chain of custody for evidence? A. The process of returning evidence to its owner. B. The unbroken chronological documentation of evidence handling. C. The method of disposing of old evidence. D. The sequence of events at a crime scene. Answer: B. The unbroken chronological documentation of evidence handling. The chain of custody refers to the precise, unbroken, and chronological record of who had possession of a piece of evidence from the moment it was collected at a crime scene until its presentation in court. This documentation ensures the integrity and admissibility of evidence by proving it has not been tampered with or contaminated. Maintaining a meticulous chain of custody is absolutely critical for the legal validity of evidence in criminal investigations. Remember that a strong chain of custody builds trust in the evidence. Question 23. If a vehicle approaches a four-way stop intersection at the same time as another vehicle coming from the right, which vehicle typically has the right-of-way? A. The vehicle coming from the left. B. The vehicle coming from the right. C. The vehicle that honks first. D. the vehicle that is larger. Answer, B, the vehicle coming from the right. At a four-way stop intersection, if two vehicles arrive at approximately the same time, the general rule of thumb is that the vehicle to the right has the right-of-way. This rule helps prevent confusion and promotes safety. Understanding and applying fundamental traffic laws is essential for police officers, both in their own driving and when enforcing regulations. Always yield to the vehicle on your right at an uncontrolled four-way stop. Question 24. A citizen calls 911 to report a non-emergency situation, such as a noisy party next door. Which of the following is the most appropriate action for the 911 dispatcher? A. Immediately dispatch multiple patrol units with lights and sirens. B. Inform the caller that this is a non-emergency and hang up. C. Gather necessary information and advise the caller that a non-emergency unit will be dispatched if available, or transfer them to a non-emergency line. D. Tell the caller to resolve the issue themselves. Answer, C. Gather necessary information and advise the caller that a non-emergency unit will be dispatched if available, or transfer them to a non-emergency line. Even for non-emergency calls, it's crucial for 911 dispatchers to gather information to assess the situation properly and determine the appropriate response. While it's not a lights and sirens emergency, a noisy party can still disrupt peace and may require law enforcement attention, albeit on a lower priority. Advising the caller of the non-emergency status and proper procedure, or transferring them, ensures the call is handled appropriately without tying up emergency resources. Understanding the protocols for emergency versus non-emergency calls is vital for effective public safety communication. Question 25. Which of the following qualities is most important for a law enforcement officer when interacting with diverse community members? A. Strict adherence to personal biases. B. Unquestioning obedience to authority. C. Empathy and cultural awareness. D. Aggressive demeanor. Answer, C. Empathy and cultural awareness. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, combined with cultural awareness, which is the understanding of different customs, beliefs, and values, are crucial qualities for law enforcement officers. These traits enable officers to build trust, communicate effectively, and respond appropriately to the varied needs and perspectives of diverse community members, leading to better community relations and more effective policing. Avoiding personal biases and aggressive demeanors are also critical. Always strive to understand and respect the various backgrounds of the people you serve.